Your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
Well, one of these days, I'll get it right. I'll actually share the Facebook Live video before it goes live, but not today. It's Friday. I'm not going to stress. I didn't win the lottery, by the way. Oh, well, I tried. Of course, it's from 4 weeks ago. I still haven't checked it. So, if I would have won, I probably would have lost a ticket. All right. God, it's already Friday. Yeah, hey, it's the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Really. Oh, by the way, man, you just about ruined my weekend.
Why? What happened?
You forget something in the freezer?
Well, okay. Yeah. Did you take them all out?
I did, of course, yeah. I was like, huh.
I just want to make sure you get like the coldest beer.
You know, thanks for thinking of me. I really appreciate that. The guys from Deep Ellum will appreciate that as well. Well, hey, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, Food Biz Pro. It's Friday afternoon. Boy, we got a lot on the show today. It's 2 hours. Okay. If you listen to the show regularly, you know that this is actually not my show time. This is Doc's slot, but Doc isn't doing a show anymore, so I took over this slot, plus doing my regular time at 2 o'clock. So, again, if I'm only doing 1 hour, so yesterday there was some confusion. I'm typically on at 3 East Coast, and I was on at 2 East Coast instead, because I did the first hour of my show, and then the second hour I put up one of our new show hosts, Andy, and it's Andy Imhoff, I think, but I keep calling him Andy Ace because that's what it says on the Facebook page I'm friends with. Sorry, Andy. He had a great interview yesterday that he put up, and do I have a caller already? Okay, that's cool. We have a great call coming in today. One of our longest sponsors, actually one of our first sponsors on the show. And they came over from Doc's old place of employment, Nostalgia Rice. And so the founder, one of the founders, the husband, is going to call us in a little bit, and we're going to talk some fun stuff. So Friday. What do you do on Friday? Usually I do beer for breakfast on Friday, but we didn't have beer for breakfast today because Mr. Matt Locke chickened out, went to CPAC on the East Coast. Dude, you hate D.C. Why are you going to that thing? Come on, let's talk food, fun, family,
beer.
Pop a top on a Friday afternoon. So I have to tell you, one of my one of the show hosts I used to listen to a long time ago in the car, named Michael Berry. He had a really funny thing on Friday. And please don't get offended, but I can't say it actually. Never mind. He said every grown-ass man and something else should be able to pop a top on Friday on the drive home, which is a very Texas thing to say because I think up until about 20 years ago, you could have a roadie. You could take a traveler with you, maybe 25 years ago, way after all the other states. So you could actually drive down the road with an open container. I don't think you could have open liquor, but you could have open beer. Anyway, yeah, man, Trey Chapman's show is getting better and better. That's what I was going to talk about. Right here, baby. Trey Chapman had the gents from Deep Ellum Brewery and Distillery. They're from right here, and they're from Dallas, not Fort Worth, but they have some really cool stuff coming out. They brought this really nice It's called an Oak Cliff Coffee Ale. And I picked this because I didn't really want a cup of coffee, but I need the caffeine. It's Friday. It's been a long week. I need my energy for the weekend. And I thought I'd try it. I like coffee stouts. I never had a coffee ale, though, so I think we're going to try it. Here we go. But his, oh, man, that's really good. Oh, it's like a coffee stout, but lighter. And one of the other things, Deep Ellum is fairly new in the distilling business. They have all these wonderfully crazy flavors of vodka. And one of the ones they brought in today, so there's one that's all-purpose. That's their standard vodka, all-purpose. The other one, I turned it so you couldn't see it if you're watching today on Facebook. By the way, that's Spoony Radio on Facebook. You can go to spoony.com, click on Listen Live. It takes you right to iHeartRadio. What's that? I can hear you.
So what?
Okay, I said your mic's open. I could hear you. It wasn't any bad words. It's okay. I'm the guy that dropped the S word the other day. So one of the other ones, this is a cool one, though. Dill pickle vodka. Who would have thought dill pickle? But, I mean, when you think about it, you do like a dirty martini, right? That's just got the olive juice in there. I mean, it's kind of vinegary and salty. So why not dill pickle vodka? I got to try this one. I'm not going to try it today because I got too much to do. But maybe over the weekend I'll try it. I don't know. Let me move those out of the way so you can see my ugly mug. Anyway, so Trey, I don't know if you watched his new show, or he's had Trey's Chowdown. Trey Chapman is his family's been in ranching, I think, here 180, 190 years in Texas. They were in the restaurant business for over 100 years. They've had over 100 restaurants, but they still have a working ranch just north of Dallas, and Trey actually runs the family ranch. His father was I think his grandfather as well, very well known in these parts. Anyway, Trey is very ingrained into the Dallas-Fort Worth scene, and he's been doing Trey's Chowdown, which was basically a video podcast for a long time, and now he's doing the live show here every Friday, and it's a hoot, man. He's a big, burly, good old Texan, smart guy, really, really, really well connected, and I thought that I was a workaholic. This guy's like, hey, can you do me a favor? I know it's 10 o'clock at night, but and this is a compliment to you, Trey, by the way. Can you make sure that that this gets done for my show? He's the ultimate perfectionist. So I'm trying to model myself after him. I guess I'm going to have to start wearing a suit jacket and a cowboy hat so I look a little more appropriate on the show. But I guess, I'm a chef. I got to wear a chef coat. Let's see, who else? Oh, Mark Conway's third show went up today. If you haven't heard it, it was just before mine. His family meal is going to be a big hit, and he has some really heavy hitters. I'm a little jealous at the level of chef and influencers in the food and beverage industry that he's bringing on board to do these interviews. But the fortunate thing is we don't have the exact same listening audience, so a lot of those will get passed my way, and I'll just take advantage of that. But yeah, Family Meal is a really good show. Mark's a pretty seasoned host and very, very, very nice young man. Very nice fellow. I say young. He's not that much younger than I am. And, I really wasn't wasting time. I was just trying to think of, who can I thank today? It's Friday. I'm thankful I made it through the week. I'm thankful for my Spoony family, all the listeners. It's been a really hard week, but it's been a great week. And on that note, I believe we have a caller on the phone.
Yes,
Hello?
we do. This is Jay at Nostalgia.
Jay, how you doing today?
Hello, this is Jay at Nostalgia.
Jay,
good.
Good. Hey.
Staying balmy warm in the northern Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't buy it for a minute. But yeah, we'll keep telling them that. So
spring is just 6 months away up here. So.
Oh man, that seems so close. Here's something that I want to tell you. First of all, thank you very much for the product that you sent us that we get to try and that we get to play with. But even more so than that, for the love and care that you and your lovely wife put into these products. Because I'm telling you, I have not tried a single thing that I've had to really, so I may change the seasoning ratios a little bit with salt and pepper or garlic. I may add garlic powder to something. But every single product I've made, I can follow the recipe and it's virtually perfect. Today we made the porcini mushroom polenta and turned that actually into the waffles. and I grilled up some steaks. We had some fillets and some ribeyes, and then some fried eggs. And man, I'm telling you what, it was unbelievable. That's the most unique, savory, flavorful waffle I've ever had. It was awesome. The best waffle ever. Just saying. So thank you.
Appreciate that. We've been at this, both my wife and I have been in the wild rice business for a long, long time now, and we think that the waffle mix is probably the best product we've ever come up with in all the years. It is, I think, so healthy, and so eating it, you don't know you're actually even eating wild rice, but it's just this really nice flavor, and it's actually really good for you. So it's a great combination.
You know, it is really good for you. I mean, it's nearly a full protein. I think it's only missing one amino acid. It's gluten-free.
That's correct.
It's high in fiber. It's fairly low calorie. I mean, the calories it does have are really highly complex carbohydrates and amino acids. So it's just a fantastic product. I mean, I can't believe that there is not a bigger market or a bigger demand for this, because we have all these other ancient grains like quinoa and amaranth and all these, but this is such a versatile grain as well. Not just to talk about the rice, but the fact that you can turn it into a waffle mix, which is actually a polenta mix, by just adding the base for the waffles, a little bit of flour, a little oil, milk, and eggs. I mean, basically you have a waffle mix. It's great. It's ingenious, by the way. You've done a great job of just developing the product, and taking one product and be able to repurpose it for another is it's outstanding. I mean, when you have leftover side dish, what do you do with it next day? Well, waffles for breakfast or dinner.
That's exactly how the waffle mix was. That's exactly how the waffle mix was born.
Was it?
We started playing. I'm not kidding. We started playing around with the side dishes and the cereals. And wild rice, unlike brown rice, will double in volume. For every cup of brown rice you cook, you'll end up with 2 cups. Wild rice will be 3, 4, even 5 cups of cooked product. So when we're done with it, where the two of us are alone, the empty nesters, the kids are all gone. Well, we cook up one of the side dishes. There's always, like you said, there's always all this leftovers. What could we do with it for a nice, easy way to do it? And I got the idea of just heating it up in the waffle iron. And my wife Lori said, "Well, let's take it one." It was good, but it wasn't. It was lacking a little bit of body to it and different things. So Lori took it from there, and she started playing around with it, and I came up with a recipe for the waffle mix. And that's how it was literally born, as what to do with the leftovers. And I think it's actually a better product than the original product it was intended to be. So sometimes it just works.
I have to say, the polenta is very good, and so are the breakfast cereals. But as a waffle, a whole nother level. It was really, really amazing.
It's actually really for people who are really into their health and nutrition too. Like I was saying earlier, it is actually really good for you. But it's very low in calories. There's more calories putting the butter and maple syrup on the waffle than there is from the actual waffle itself.
It's crazy.
So it just depends on. We eat the waffles a lot just as a snack. We bring them in, cook them up when we make them. We'll cook extra. You can keep them in the refrigerator for up to a week or freeze them. But we just bring them in as a cold snack and munch on them instead of eating cookies or something else during the course of the day. Just take one of those blueberry waffles is actually just a really nice, even cold right out of as a snack during the day.
That sounds delicious. So today I actually made a mistake when I made when I turned the polenta into waffles. I forgot to add the flour because I did it by memory. I didn't read the bag. That's what chefs do, and occasionally we make mistakes. But actually, it was really good. The only thing is it didn't bind quite as well. So it was actually a very it was like a
little more body.
Exactly. It was like it was almost a short dough. So when I tried to take it out of the waffle maker, it was a little a little feisty, but it worked out fine. And they were actually they're a little lighter in body. But man, that flavor is unbelievable. So, Jay, one
of the nice things about wild rice. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say one of the nice things about wild rice in general is that it lends itself so well to so many different flavor profiles, whether it's an Oriental dish or just like the Northwoods dish, if you will, with the garlic and herb seasoning on it, or if you're doing, wild rice is just kind of this open palette that blends with all these different flavor profiles and can be so versatile, used in so many different ways. believe me, in the course of the last 29 years, Lori and I have eaten wild rice. If you can eat it in that fashion, we've probably done it, and on a regular basis. So it's just something we really think in our hearts. We're trying to share it with the rest of the country. Up here in Minnesota, we grow up with wild rice. It's you walk into a grocery store, you go into the deli section. There's a chicken wild rice salad, and probably another dish besides that. You go over to the meat department. There's probably wild rice brats or wild rice meatballs. Go over to the bakery. There's wild rice breads and rolls. It's just part of. You can't go to a restaurant without getting wild rice soup. I mean, it's just we grow up with it here. But once you cross the border into any other state, the wild rice is left behind. It's just something we're trying to share that with everybody else. Most people associate wild rice, so they walk in down the rice aisle in the grocery store, and there's some of the big rice companies with their white and wild blends. Well, there's 10 kernels of wild rice in there that lets them sell that 10 cents worth of white rice for $2.19 a box instead of what they normally would get for it.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Sad but true. But,
yeah. Well, I mean.
And it's the same thing. You go in.
No, go ahead. Good. I mean.
Go ahead.
No, please. So here's one thing we should make a distinction. So a couple of things. You've had the company since 19. Let's see here. Hold on.
1990 we started.
Wow, 1990. I mean, that's
so 29 years now.
Wow. And so did you use the children as free labor when they were young, and as they got older?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Did you use the children as kind of a free labor for a while? I would have done that.
we have done that upon occasion, especially when the holiday season rolls around, and the Christmas gifts is a big part of the business, so it's kind of all hands on deck during that season. So
yeah, so what was your? I mean, how did it start out with just one product, or was it a line of products? Did you have an idea for a product, or you just thought you could grow?
Both Lori and I used to work for another wild rice company before we started this on our own. We weren't married back then, but after working together for 15 years, we decided to get married. I should know this, shouldn't I? 14 years ago? 13 years ago? But we both came out of the industry. My job was, we both were in sales. My job was we worked for a large co-op of wild rice growers, and the reason I know the white rice companies and the frozen entree manufacturers is because I used to sell hundreds of thousands of pounds of wild rice a year to those large food companies. So that was our introduction to the world of wild rice. When we started our own company, though, we went the total opposite. One, I had a non-compete agreement with the former employer, but two, it was instead of selling semi-loads of wild rice, we decided to go direct to the consumer.
Gotcha.
Which is a totally different world to work in. When we started up way back 29 years ago, it was you did a mailing. The internet didn't exist, so Lori spent weeks putting this mailing piece together with all the pictures of all the different products, and go to the printer and spend thousands of dollars going to the printer, and then thousands more going to the post office to mail all these out. In today's world with the internet, you've got the list, you've got the email file, put it together, press the button, so to speak, and off it goes. So it's a much different world in today than it used to be.
Yeah, it is. But this is it's kind of a true American success story. And Doc loved the Building America segments, and I don't know if that's how you all started with him, way back when. But
that's exactly how we started with Doc, was Building America. Yeah.
I mean, and so I'm going to try and carry that on Thursdays. I'll try to do a segment that is about entrepreneurship and food and beverage, and and just kind of try to give some people some sort of some idea how they might start their own business if they want to, if they so desire. So, I mean, since then, right? So you started with all these kind of products that would remind you, like going to grandma's house, native fruits, whatever, local maple syrup and honeys. But I mean, the future has always been these new products. And since then, I mean, what have you added? Because I have right here, I have blueberry syrup, and I have the choke cherry jelly. I love choke cherry. I like, you can't eat them as they are. You have to treat them, but fantastic flavor. It's not.
This is one of the few parts of the country that actually grows wild in too up here. So.
I mean,
it's a choke cherry. Choke cherry has been our best-selling jelly since we started 29 years ago.
Really? Wow. And you guys so I when I talked to you last week, I was thinking, okay, well, they have a team of people or they farm some of this out. I've done that before. You develop a product, you open a store, you have a line of production company, and you farm it out afterwards. You go to you develop your master recipe, gold standard recipe, and you produce that as long as you can until you outgrow it, and then you hand it off to someone else to take care of it for, and you pay them to do it. You don't do that. You package pretty much all of this you package yourselves.
In fact, we've taken it the other direction. It's very hard to find a company that will do small-scale custom processing for startup food companies. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of companies will do it if they want to turn the machines on and let them run for 24 hours, just mass producing products.
10,000 a run.
We know what it's like. So we've done that for a number of other people. Started in their kitchens making different products, and we take it to the next step for them. We're the next step for them growing up. So it helps us keeping the back end busy here for us, keeps employees working. But it's kind of a payback for those that helped us along the way too. So
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, wild rice in itself is a pretty special product. It's the only native grain to North America, I believe, and it's a superfood. It has, you could literally survive on it if that's all you had to eat. Isn't that correct? Native Americans did it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Picture this, right this morning, it was about 5 below this morning, and we're now into March, and it was 5 below this morning. We're supposed to be 15 below, 16 below the next 2 nights in a row.
Oh, goodness.
Picture this if you were living in a teepee. Seriously, if you're living in a teepee up here this time of year, which the Native Americans did for centuries up here, the wild rice was so important to them that they literally would move to the harvest grounds, to the lakes, where the rice grew for the fall harvest season. Same thing in the springtime. They literally packed up and moved to the sugar bush. And that's two of the main foods we deal with, the maple syrup and wild rice. And they were so healthy and nutritious that they allowed people to survive this climate up here before there were cabins, before there was heat, before all these things. So it speaks well of the diet that they had. Wild rice was able to sustain them through our winters up here. That's,
wow.
I should say, speak volumes.
That in itself is a big deal. So, I can picture, do you know what pemmican is?
Sure, that was one of the original ways they ate it all the time. Huh?
Okay, so yes, I was going to say pemmican. I could see them putting this in that kind of the ground meat and fat mixture, because this would add the carbohydrates. Some of the other stuff, I know they put like cherries and things like that in it, but that's funny. I was just talking about pemmican the other day, and it popped into my mind when I just was envisioning this culture that survived on wild rice. It's just fascinating.
And then the other part was the maple sugar too. They mixed that maple sugar into it, so that was. People think the Native Americans did maple, but pictured before the invention of plastic bottles and even glass, trying to travel around and carry that liquid with you. The solution was they cooked it down to sugar, much easier to put in the skin and carry around. Yeah. So that was a more practical means of doing it. In fact, when I go camping, I love hunting, fishing, camping. When we go camping, if it's especially something that involves a float plane or weight restrictions, we bring maple sugar and reconstitute it into syrup out on the trail, type of thing. So something that.
Oh no, I was going to say, just as a boy that grew up in upstate New York, maple syrup was a staple, right? Maple sugar candy. And one of the first things I typically do when I get back there is I'll buy a single maple leaf, the larger, like 2-inch pieces of candy. And when I was a kid, I could eat like a handful of those a day, or a whole big master box of those. Now, one will sustain me for a while, but yeah, it's a great source of calories. It's a fantastic flavor, and you've turned all these products, and you've developed all these products: soup, cereal, side dishes, waffles, flours, breads. And, you make it easy to make breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. Has that grown your audience, your marketplace overall?
Oh yes, it has, definitely. There's some people. One of the reasons we came up with some of the other products was one of the downsides to wild rice, if you will, or one of the objections people have is the relatively long cook time. The dark finished rice could be 45, 50-minute cook time. Well, especially in the summer months, people don't want to put the simmer water in the house for 50 minutes. So, especially in today's world, the younger generations, they're used to couscous and quinoa and all these different grains, and have shorter cook time, shall we say.
Yeah.
So by doing the coarse ground, the polenta, it reduced the cook time dramatically.
Oh, yeah,
it's
literally 10 to 12 minutes. 10 to 12 minutes. It was really quick. Hey, we're about out of time for the segment. Real quick, you've had the promotion on the Mojo 10 and the Spoony 10 wild rice promotion, where you had the if you order the the waffle sampler pack, then you get 10% off your entire order. But we got just about a minute left. Now you have a new sale starting Monday on the 4th. And do you want to tell real quick about what that is?
It's 10% off anything. Just kind of an introduction to the company and the food products. Any order, you'll get 10% off. Use the promo code is Spring10. We're optimistic that spring is coming, so Spring10, and you'll get 10% off anything on the site. Nice.
Well, thank you, Jay. Thanks for spending time with us, and tell Lori we said hi. And I really look forward to meeting when you come down here sometime this month.
Believe me, we're looking forward to coming south to see you, too.
I'll bet you're. Hey, stoke the fire and stay warm, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you. All right. That was Jay from Nostalgia. Some nostalgia there. What a great family, the Eric and Brock family. Anyway, we got another caller coming up here in just a minute. Man, Jill Raff's kind of called. We're going to do a little customer service training today. And also, we're a little bit about employee retention. So we'll be right back. I guess we got about a 2-minute break. Ciao for now. We'll see you on the other side.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone. RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUzone.com, RIDUzone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUzone.com.
And we're back here at Spoony Radio. This is Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. And thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. I am enjoying a really nice Oak Cliff Coffee Ale from Deep Ellum Brewery in the Deep Ellum district of Dallas. This is really tasty. This is going to be hard to just have one, but, got a lot going on this weekend. I can only have one. Only one for now.
For now.
Mm-hmm. So, please go check out the Nostalgia products at SpoonyWildRice.com. So I made these waffles this morning, right? It's basically a polenta mix that's not made with corn. It's made with their wild rice. They have porcini mushrooms in it and some other wonderful herbs and flavors, garlic, some other like rosemary and things like that. So when I made those into waffles, they're really savory, but I put a little bit of sugar into the mix, about it was enough to make 8 waffles. It was about a teaspoon and a half of sugar, and it sweetened it up just enough that you could take they have this wonderful product. It's actually a ghost pepper jam. They have a bunch of them. They have a raspberry jalapeno. They have a habanero one, but this one is particularly interesting because you'd think it would just kill your mouth. It would be so hot. I've already seen the videos on YouTube of some poor high school kid trying to eat sandwiches and drink milk, and he can't even swallow because he's just crying snot out of his eyes because he tried to eat a ghost chili. It's not meant to be eaten that way, by the way, folks. So in India, the way they use this is they take one chili and they throw it in a whole pot of food, and that heats the whole pot of food, and they don't eat the chili. Okay? So the stupid challenge is dangerous. It's very dangerous. It can cause severe burns inside your gastrointestinal tract. But hey, if you want to do it, who am I to say no? We got a call, but anyway. Yeah, well, we'll go back to that later. Jill Raff, are you there?
I am. Hey, Patrick.
How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm great. Thank you. Yeah, you too. It's going quickly, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, you know, I gave you a quick shout saying, hey, do you want to help me out and do a segment? And when I say help me out, I mean help me out. You know, I'm trying to do the 2-hour show, and I have a lot of content, but it's really nice to get the professionals in the industry. Look, I can wing it, and sometimes I really know what I'm talking about, but you do this for a living. So Jill Raff, if you don't know who she is, she's a CX strategist. That's a customer experience strategist. And she helps people, you know, develop vision, strategy, and results. You know, what you transform transactions into interactions. Did I memorize that correctly?
That's perfect. Exactly
Whoa,
right.
I finally got something right today. Besides the waffles I made this morning. So
that sounds good.
So, I mean, do you see that the changing of the guard, these younger generations being the most powerful voting blocks, the most powerful spending blocks, are they changing the way that customer service works now?
Oh, gosh, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. While they say, you know, things always change, but everything stays the same. So I think it's changing drastically because of just the technology that they're growing up with, the expediency, the instant results that they're used to. But at the same time, I think it's still very basic, and some things will never change. And that is the basic premise of creating a relationship, having an interaction, which is why I say transforming a transaction, which is just a cold exchange of money for goods and services. There's no human element involved in that. Transforming a transaction into an interaction so that you are looking someone in the eye. You are having a conversation. You are getting to know them, and you're serving them from that place of genuinely wanting to help them solve that problem, whether the problem or serve a need. It could be a meal, it could be buying something off the shelf, whatever it is, you're there for the purpose of helping them and acknowledging that.
You know, the most impressive customer service or hospitality experience I've had, positive hospitality experience, I was in Denver. I was at the Westin downtown. They had converted an old bank into a Westin hotel. And I think I was there for 2 nights. I was doing some work in Fort Collins and some in Denver. Anyway, I walked in and they had a bowl of candy, right? It's kind of like they were kind of a fancy version of the hard candies that they have that are just little sticks, like part of the old candy sticks that you would get in an old time drugstore. You know, I'm talking about the ones they were like straight sticks of candy, but these are smaller portions, like 4 to 1. Anyway, so I get a butterscotch candy and I put it in my mouth and I have the wrapper in my hand and I'm waiting in line to check in. One of the bellmen actually saw that I still had the wrapper in my hand. He came up and he said, "Let me take care of that for you." And he grabbed it out of my hand and said, "Thank you." I mean, they noticed that I had a candy wrapper I needed to get away I needed to do something with.
That's brilliant.
It was fantastic.
I love that story.
You know, well,
yeah, because they're being proactive.
You know, that's proactive is great. You know, one of the issues one of the challenges that owners face is enticing, coercing. It used to be coercing, but teaching people, right, and invigorating them, reinvigorating them to take ownership of the place that you work, even if you're not the owner. Because think about it: if you work there and your parents were coming in tonight and they were gonna walk in that lobby and there was a straw by the hostess desk and a napkin on the floor. If your parents, your grandmother, who you love more than anybody who's ever walked the earth, except whoever you're, whatever, would you pick that up or would you leave it? You'd pick it up, right? Even if you don't own the place.
I'd pick it up. I'd pick it up regardless of who is coming in, because that's been ingrained in me. That's like in my DNA. I still do it to this day. It's not even my store. If I'm in Starbucks, which is inevitably the counter where you put your cream and milk and sugar and all that, it's a mess. It's a pigsty. I can't stand it.
It's
Every
ridiculous.
time I'm there, I take a napkin and I clean it up. I can't help myself. It's part of what I was raised with. And my parents opened McDonald's number 150, and that was something that was just a part of the philosophy. And recently, I'm actually started interviewing some of my dad's employees from that time, and I loved it. I laughed so loud because she said to me, "Yes, I'll never forget your father taught us, don't ever cross the lot and not pick up a piece of trash."
Yep,
and
that's how it goes.
That was the way I was raised. So I do it today, no matter where I am. I'll bend down and pick it up.
Okay, that's funny.
I can't help it.
It's like Pavlov's dog. You've been trained. You've been trained. But
I've been educated.
And I actually agree with that train of thought. I do. And in restaurants, you see it a lot. Never leave the floor and never go back to the kitchen empty-handed. Never leave the kitchen empty-handed going back to the floor. It's just something that you do. But how do you inspire your staff to do that, your hourly staff? Because look, working side by side and doing the same thing and not being too fancy to get dirty and do their job, that's one aspect of it. But how do you inspire your employees to take ownership, to service the guest in a way that provides hospitality and not just a service, not just delivering the food to the table? How do you do that? Because employee retention, as you and I both know, is a huge cost to the industry, any industry.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it is. I think it's really important to just look at the basics and say, people are working? Yes, they need to make money. But statistically, studies have shown that people will be happy even taking a pay cut if they feel like they have a purpose, if they're involved. And I think it's basic human psychology that if we, from the get-go, let your employees know that you want their involvement, you acknowledge, you honor them, you respect them, make them a part of your growth, make them a part of your business, not just treat them like an hourly wage person. And so I actually say, you should, for happy employees, the formula is very simple. It's E cubed. You educate times empower times entrust. And when you bring them in, you educate them on their value to your company, making them know that they are very important and they are vital to your growth. And you want their feedback, you want them to be a part of it. You're educating them on what you expect of them. They'll know what to expect and how to deliver and surpass that expectation. You then empower them. You give them the runway to go and to do, and not to say, oh, the only person who can make a decision, the only person who can do anything is the manager. And if you have a problem, everyone has to go to that manager. No, train, empower your people so that they feel that they have some authority, that they have some say, that they can really be a part of what's going on there. And then lastly, you have to, like when you raise kids, at some point you have to let go. You've educated them. You've set an example, which is important. You've got to set example as the management, as the owner. But then you got to cut the umbilical cord, and you have to entrust that they're going to serve you the way you want. And there will be little shifts and ways that you'll have to pivot and correct. Fine. But let them know you trust them, and you'll see how far you'll get with that.
No, absolutely. So when I worked for the Hyatt Regency back in the early mid-90s, I guess mid-90s, after coming back from Japan, they had a great philosophy with their employees, and it was you make the call. So you were empowered and given the leeway to make any call under any circumstances in a guest matter when it was a one-on-one situation. Like if there was a terrible mess in their room flooded, whatever, you could give them the presidential penthouse for the night. Didn't matter. You could make that call. It doesn't mean that in private they wouldn't reprimand you for it, right? But they would allow you to make the call, and then they discuss it afterwards. I thought it was brilliant, though, because it forced you to think, use critical thinking skills, and then make a decision without always having to refer to a manager. Now, technology plays a part in this, I really believe, because you talked about the demand for instantaneous results and knowledge, and you know, just everything is instant now. It really bugs me.
Yes.
Remember, we have to look through a freaking encyclopedia to find one paragraph over something we had to write about.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, remember that?
You didn't know how
leaf
to
into
spell
pages?
a word. They said look it up in the dictionary.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was like 2 miles in the snow uphill both ways, but it was a lot more difficult. You had to do your due diligence, and but
you learned along the way
you did.
by doing that.
You did. But cell phones, I think, have changed everything in a way that I don't necessarily think is positive.
Oh.
And this is how. I love cell phones. Man, I can't live without this little baby. I'm telling you, if I didn't have my iPhone, I feel naked. I feel like I don't have a brain, and I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. Now, I can function, but, you know, it feels so awkward. In the past, if you were driving somewhere, you were going to be late to work, then you had to call your boss, but you had to remember the number. You didn't carry a phone book around with you, right? You didn't carry, and then you had to have 35 cents minimum or 50 cents later on. It was, 10 cents when I was a little boy. You had to have money to pay the phone, put in the phone for every single call. You didn't wait till the end of the month when you got your bill.
Booth.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
But not only that, if your manager was not in the restaurant and they were not at home, you could not get a hold of them. You had no way to know where they were. Couldn't call a cell phone. There were no pagers then. So you had to think and act. And that simple, those simple circumstances of being forced to, I'm sorry, I'm taking up all your time talking, but I was thinking about this.
I get it.
Yeah, so you're forced to think and act, and through that, you made good and bad decisions. You were forced to mature. You don't have to mature anymore. You know, you don't even have to make decisions anymore.
Well, yeah, and and what you're saying is problem solving. That critical thinking for problem solving is where your maturity, your growth, everything that you do in life is about solving some sort of problem. And when I say problem, it doesn't mean that it has to necessarily even be something bad. It's something that needs a resolution or a result or an answer. Mm-hmm. And all those skills are gone. I agree 100%. I think it's going to take its toll on our society.
Well, I think Gen Z. Okay, so we had the millennials, Gen Y, which I'm not picking. Look, millennials are very, very clever because they only do what they want to do. And I don't mean that being lazy. They aren't going to take a job and work for some guy. They aren't going to work for a jerk, is what I was told, which is right. Mm-hmm. They're not going to work for, they will take a little less than they wanted. There's a lot of things that they do right. And they pay for the experience, not for the item. And they're fairly frugal with their money. Now, Gen Z is a little different. They're not as politically correct. One of the great things is they go out and they make these mocking videos on YouTube, and you're like, well, because your parents always told you everything you do on film is out there forever. And Doc used to talk about this, and it was so they actually go out and they overplay it. Like they'll just do the worst thing possible they could never live down, and they're like, so what? It's a freaking video that was meant as a joke. Lighten up. So it's nice to see that. They may be our saving generation. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting, though, but you're seeing now a lot of people who did things, you see, at least in the Hollywood world, right? There's been several actors recently who have had to step down from things because something they did 10 years ago has surfaced on video or whatever. So I think that's still, I have teenagers, so I still do tell them, look, you've got to be thoughtful about what you put out there because someone will find it. It doesn't matter at what point in your life, they will find it. So make sure it doesn't come back to kill any opportunities for you. Yeah, no, I mean,
it's more mocking the whole advent of this. I'm going to find dirt on you and you're going to pay for it, right? I mean, look, when you're a 17-year-old kid and you're going to pay for it, or a 22-year-old child, young man or young woman, and you're going to pay for that when you're 45 or 50 or 60. Now, don't get me wrong.
I know, it's crazy.
Depending on the infraction, yes, you should pay for it or you should not pay for it. But, anyway. All right, I'm off that high horse real quick. All right, so what can we do? All right, you talked about empowering the employees, the E cubed. Take us through that. Take us through what does that mean? How do you do that? What's the formula look like?
Well, I think, the first one is educate. So we talk a lot about training, especially in this industry. And, you can train a monkey. You can train anyone to smile. But people will feel when it's just simply someone that's been trained to act a certain way during that certain time. They'll be smiling and then they'll turn away and the smile just immediately goes away. You just feel the energy. And so I think it's important that it starts really at the top, that after you've established very clear core values and you make sure to incorporate how you put people first, employees and your customers, and for that matter, your vendors and all the people that touch your business along the way, then the next step is when you hire, that's in alignment with those values, and that you hire people who have the same work ethic, that have the same value of people. And so that when they are there and you bring them on and you start to do your onboarding and your education, it's not just smile training, that you're really already in alignment because you're hiring those kind of people. And then you just have to educate them on what you expect from them, where they have the leeway, what's going to be the process, the system, how often they'll be assessed, what you want them to say, maybe it's the language you want. There's certain branding around language with certain institutions or restaurants or hotels, and it becomes known as a part of their brand on how it is that you speak with your customers. Because, look, everyone's coming from different backgrounds, different trainings, different families, experiences. You don't want to rest and rely on whatever they're bringing to the table, because God knows if someone gets mad about something, it may not come out the way you want that's going to represent your brand, but that's all they know. We all come to any job, any relationship with what we've experienced ourselves. So we have to take it upon ourselves to educate each employee for what we want, how we want our brand represented. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's there's so much to it, but if you boil it down, distill it down,
there is.
Yeah, I mean, having a set of systems in place that can manage the employees within certain parameters, and then you manage the systems, right? It doesn't mean that you still don't manage the other team members and things like that. But ultimately, if you do not have the systems in place for you to have some sort of, there has to be a parameters which to judge and infractions and deal with those, how to treat those, or how do you praise positive work? I mean, a great work ethic. Do you do giveaways? Do you give gift certificates? What's a good incentive? How do you incentivize that for employees, especially the lower paid hourly? Like, what do you do for the kitchen? Because servers, it's one thing. What do you do for the kitchen? What would you recommend?
Yeah. I think it's important, first and foremost, before any sort of reward or an award or anything monetarily given, I think people at the core want to be acknowledged, appreciated, and respected. And so I think first and foremost, you need to let them know, and you can let them know one-on-one and even recognize them at the meeting, before maybe you're going to start your service. Recognize those people who are outstanding at what they've done, how they've contributed to the team, how they've impacted or affected a customer, whatever it is. Acknowledge, show them respect, and right off the bat, they're going to be raring to go for that next night service and ready to do even more because they love that recognition. It's just human nature.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, depending upon your brand and what you're doing, there's all sorts of things besides maybe giving them a night where they could come in and be a guest in your restaurant. Let them experience the other side without having to pay for it because maybe they can't afford it depending upon the price point of your restaurant.
No, exactly.
Maybe give them a gift card to go somewhere else to just go pamper themselves.
No, I agree. I mean, and that's something you have to decide, obviously. And here's another thing, though. Is the reward for doing the job you're supposed to be doing anyway? Or is the reward for something, is it for outstanding performance? That's another question. What's the solution there? I mean, I know what I would do. If you're just doing your job, granted, under special circumstances or under duress, then yes, that should be rewarded. But if you're doing it on, consistently over time, yes, that as well. But if you're just doing your job and you have a clearly defined, a scope of work and job description, then that gets rewarded anyway in the form of raises, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think that's where the verbal recognition, and you just say, you know what, job well done. You did a great job today. Thank you. You stepped up. And it's just that appreciation for doing what they were hired to do. I agree. I don't think it's kind of like the the participation trophies that this next generation's being raised on. Uh-huh. I don't know. That just makes for a big muck. You're not going to find anyone that's going to work hard to excel because they have a trophy. They're already appreciated for just showing up and doing what they should be doing. So
yeah, there's a whole psychological study of that actually the children are embarrassed by it, right? Because they get a trophy and it demeans. I mean, it basically devalues the award that the winner or the I guess the winner is an easy way to put it. But they get rewarded, but that's lessened because everybody got an award as well. And so, yeah, I completely get that.
Right.
And I don't know how, and I'm curious, how are they going to deal with that? Because emotionally, so I'll tell you, children between, say, my daughter's 17, below that, maybe her age and a little below, actually, no, I'm thinking about some of her friends, and I'm not going to talk about the other little boy there, but they're not typically equipped to handle emotionally difficult situations, right? And I'm going to say that runs from probably age like 15, 16, 17 to probably 30. The first millennials just turned 40. So maybe even a little older than that, 35. But that's not everyone. This is not a blanket statement, but I see it all the time. One little thing goes wrong, you get a flat tire, and then their whole life is ended. There's no scope, there's no well,
yeah.
It's tough. It's really tough.
I agree. It's so funny.
And it kind of falls on us, the employer. So, and I'm actually telling you, these are points that Simon Sinek makes in some of his speeches, but it's up to us to train them, right? To educate them and bring them into the real world. Because, when your mom got you an A when you should have gotten a C because the teacher didn't want to hear them complaining anymore, and you were passed, and next year put into an honors class and still got a passing grade because that instructor didn't want to hear your parents complain. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I thought my children walked on water, and most of the time they do. But I mean, it's different. Like my mom, if I got in trouble at school, my mother didn't go down there and yell at the teacher. She's like, how many times do you paddle them, and do I need to do more at home? And I'm not saying that's the right thing, but it was immediately resolved. Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger cultural issue now. But all right, low hanging fruit though: educate, empower, and trust. Let's hit the next one. I'm getting too deep here. It's Friday. It's supposed to be light. Friday's supposed to be light. Why am I getting so esoteric? And I mean, I'm not even halfway through a beer. I should be excited. It's Friday. I'm be done working here in a little bit.
Exactly.
So you wrote one on here, this number one point, no need to be perfect. And I think that's a huge, huge topic that needs to be discussed daily. You want to go into that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I think it's really important, if we mess up with a customer, for that matter, it could be a parent, a child, a spouse. It really could be anyone in any relationship, whether it's your staff. But I think it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's really actually a good thing because it creates an opportunity to connect with someone, to create that memorable experience, to create that relationship, and it's how you fix it that ultimately makes the difference. Mm-hmm. And no one's perfect. And in fact, I remember reading, I thought it was a little overboard, but I remember reading about a business who they would intentionally make little mistakes here and there so that they would have that opportunity to show them, oh, look, we really care about you. We're going overboard. We're going to make sure it's right. Because when people leave your restaurant, your hotel, whatever it is, and they feel like you have earned your 5-star review, you've shown us that you really care, and when something messed up that you didn't just ignore it, then, wow, that has such a huge impact. I say get it right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have to worry about it. But if you don't, make it right. And that's okay. It's human nature. And when they see we're all human, we all have vulnerabilities, they actually, I think, are going to embrace you in your restaurant more.
No, I agree. And, we are our own harshest, judge and jury. We always, typically, most people judge themselves, 10 times worse than other people do for making mistakes. So it's always good to keep that in mind. All right, we've got about 1 minute left. Do you want to touch on any other little brief topics you can, nuggets of gold and wisdom you can put out there?
Oh, goodness. As you were saying, like you go off on tangents. It's so deep. There's so many ideas and so many thoughts, and one leads to the next. I think, in a nutshell, put people first. Treat people as people, and it's because you have to remember that they're people first and they're customers second, and everyone wants to be acknowledged and recognized. If you can get an opportunity to find out their name, use their name. There's a saying in any language, a person's name is the most beautiful sound in the whole language. Use their name. Look at them in the eye. It's so simple. It's so commonsensical, but yet it's not being done in the large majority of restaurants and businesses. I
agree. Hey, Jill, thanks for calling in and sharing some of your words of wisdom. Again, Jill Raff, she's a customer experience strategist. She has this great, she has a 7 ingredients to customer experience transformation. So look her up online, check her out, hire her if you can, or if you need her. She's worth it, I think. Anyway, Jill, thanks again. We'll talk next week, and look forward to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend. All right. Whoa, he muted me. Oh, I thought he muted me already. I just wasn't talking. I'm like, I can't hear myself talk. I wasn't saying anything. Man, I need a nap. Actually, I don't need a nap. We just need to finish the week, huh? You a little tired there? All right, man. I'll bug you after, Isaac. We're going to go to break. Be back in 2 minutes. Oh, 4 minutes.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference, Vice President Mike Pence says the U.S. economy is as strong as ever thanks to President Trump.
Under the president's strong leadership, we forged new trade deals that finally put American jobs and American workers first, and with the support of this generation of conservatives, President Trump signed the largest tax cut and tax reform in American history.
And the vice president says border security has been at the forefront of President Trump's agenda.
Since day one of our administration, we've been working to remove dangerous criminals from our streets in record numbers, enforcing our immigration laws and working to secure our border. And we've already started to build that wall.
The vice president also accused Democrats of openly advocating for socialism with far-left policies. President Trump touting his relationship with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, even though the two failed to reach a nuclear agreement. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Back in Washington, after cutting short his Vietnam summit with Kim, the president claims their relationship is very good. He tweets that the two had very substantive negotiations, adding, "We know what they want and they know what we must have." However, the two leaders have different accounts of why the summit ended the way it did. Mr. Trump said Kim insisted all sanctions be lifted, but North Korea says it only asked for partial sanctions relief. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Also on townhall.com, the U.S. is adding 6 high-ranking Venezuelan security officials on its international sanctions list as it steps up pressure on the government of President Nicolas Maduro. It's part of a campaign to pressure Maduro to step down and turn over power to opposition leader Juan Guaido. On Wall Street, the Dow ahead 73 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If your family depends on your...
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
Hey, you know what? I forgot to tell y'all, it's National Peanut Butter Lovers Day. Huh.
I love peanut butter.
So do I. It's like manna from heaven.
It's so good for you, too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for the most part, if you get the natural
I usually
stuff.
have a tablespoon before I go to sleep, because the carbs, not the carbs, but like
the
it
protein.
breaks down. Yeah, it breaks it down while you sleep, and it helps you burn some a certain amount of calories.
Yeah,
too.
so it's slow burning carbohydrates, it's slow burning protein, and then the fat in there also. Yeah, it's good. You know, I like peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I even like the powdered peanut butter that comes in a jar that you can take when you're like camping or stuff, and then you just mix the water with it. And it makes peanut butter. It's so cool.
That's amazing.
It's awesome. They even have organic versions of that. So it is also. Now, let's see. National Breast Implant Awareness Month. Don't think we need to talk about that one. National Day of Unplugging. Well, I can't unplug because I got to do this. I want to do this. National Dress in Blue Day. Well, I got blue jeans on. National Employee Appreciation Day. Well, we just talked about that in the customer service segment with Joe Raff. National Horse Protection Day. Look, any animal is fair game and they're all food. I'm just telling you. When the hits the fan and the zombie apocalypse happens, any pets I have are numbered in order of what gets eaten first, what gets eaten last. I'm sorry. It's the truth. I can't lie to you. I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm just saying I'm going to do it if that's what happens. So, sorry. It's National Pig Day. I don't know if that's like pig as we like to eat pork.
Bacon.
Or if it's just pig as in just National Pig Day. I don't know. I got to look that one up. But over all of that, it is National Fruit Compote Day.
What is that?
So fruit compote, it's basically when you take, you can take any fruit, but you simmer it in a liquid, and sometimes with sugar and a little bit of acid, and it makes it's like a fresh jelly.
Right? Oh, okay.
So when you make cranberry sauce at Christmas time,
yeah.
Well, somebody does. Well, you buy fresh cranberries and you put in like water, orange juice, white wine. You simmer that and add some sugar and maybe ginger and orange or whatever. But that would be like a compote. When it boils down, that fresh cranberry sauce that you make would be a compote, a fruit compote.
Nice.
Good stuff. Matter of fact, the other day I talked about when you have leftover berries. So there's this process called maceration. Not the other word, maceration. It means to let it sit in its own juices and kind of the flavors change, right? They develop. So typically I'll take berries and I'll sprinkle sugar and lemon juice on them and then just leave them at room temperature or put them in the fridge. Stir them around every so often until you get a nice, the berries start to soften, and then you have a bunch of juice in the pan, and you can serve that over scones or in the bowl, rather. Serve it over scones, ice cream, shortcake, whatever you have. But if you have a bunch left over, say you did a big party, have a bunch left over, and you don't want to throw it away, then you can heat the same thing in a pan, turn it into a compote. You can heat it, add a little bit of vanilla, maybe some maple syrup, maybe a little extra sugar, and let that get really nice and hot and syrupy, and then serve that over ice cream, like vanilla ice cream.
Actually, that gave me an idea. I want to do that, but with cocktails, like with mixed drinks.
Ooh, that sounds
nice
pretty
idea.
good.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, that you remind me of something. We were going to talk about this last week when you never got to it, but there's a Keurig now makes a cocktail machine. You buy a little packet, you put it in there.
What?
It makes a cocktail for you. Yep. The average cost is about $3 a cocktail. I'm wondering if they're any good, because I don't think many people are going to stay at home and drink cocktails. Not as many as would be, that are going to go out and drink cocktails. Yeah. And I'm also curious if it has the alcohol in it, because I would think that would be hard on the machine, having so many different alcohols in a distilled but powdered form.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll talk to Cheryl. Cheryl Rich Heisler. She'll be on at the bottom of the hour from Mixed Metaphors. I love when people make a play on words instead of metaphors. She's brilliant. Anyway, National Fruit Compote Day. Yeah, it's fruit compote, dude. It's berries and hot water, basically.
All right. Oh, that's good to know.
It can be very complex, actually. You could. You can flavor it with, so that syrup that develops, you could use all sorts of things. You could put lemon peel in there. You could put actually peppercorns, whole peppercorns. Just take them out later. You could put rosemary or thyme. You could put ginger. What else could you put in there? Basil. Basil's a good one. I've made things with like strawberry and basil. Ooh, tarragon is a good one. You ever know what tarragon is?
I heard of it, but like
that's okay.
You need to like describe to me what it is. Too.
So tarragon tastes like, it has a very mild licorice flavor, very mild, but it grows. It just has it kind of grows like rosemary, but softer stalks. It doesn't grow into like this bush-like tree or tree-like bush, and the leaves are very soft and very close together. They're kind of like a flat. They look like they're about the same size as rosemary, but they're flat and they're very tender, and they're a little wider because they're so thin. But it's a great flavoring, especially if you're going to roast something. If you're going to roast like strawberries for something, throw some tarragon in there. It's an unbelievable flavor and it doesn't really impart the flavor of licorice. It just kind of adds that nose, that scent, the aroma, and it lightens things up. It gives something depth that you wouldn't think would be there. I use it I make a roasted strawberry panna cotta. You know panna cotta?
No.
Okay, you
look like you're.
That's okay.
You sound like you're talking about a bunch of gourmet stuff, and I'm like, that sounds so good right now.
You're a starving student.
I'm starving right now.
Well, when they have like it's kind of the opposite of it's a sister to creme brulee. Right? You know creme brulee, right? Okay, so it's a custard like that where it's basically an ice cream base. Right? So ice cream is, you cook a custard, you just don't cook it till it's thick. Then you cool it down and you put it in the ice cream freezer. It makes ice cream. It's pretty much the same thing.
Wow.
It's like that, but you add gelatin to it. So then you put it in ramekins like you would for creme brulee. And when you're ready to serve it, you can do one of two things. You can serve it right in that, or you can unmold it. And so it's a cold custard that has a little bit of gelatin in it to help it stay firm.
Kind of like flan?
Yeah, but flan is baked. These are not baked. These are just go in the refrigerator.
Okay.
And they're served cold. But I love flan. Oh, man.
Flan is good.
I'll tell you, the best flan I ever had was in Ecuador. I worked for the Estrada family down there, Ernesto Estrada. And his household, they had a domestic household attendant. And she cooked. Most of the time, she just cooked. Oh, my God. She made unbelievable flan. I didn't used to like flan until I had that flan. She would make, instead of in like the individual ramekins or like just a plain old sheet pan of flan, like a deep dish, like a brownie dish, brownie baking pan, cake pan. She would make it like they'd use those ornate molds, almost like for a bundt cake, the really fancy Christmas bundt cakes.
Yeah.
oh man, it was so good. It was, I don't know how she did it because it was thick. It was like 3 or 4 inches tall. And when you ate it, the texture was the same exactly from top to bottom. I know she used a water bath, which is where you basically, you put your pan that you're going to bake in, your baking dish, inside of another larger pan, and then you fill it with water so it covers half of the, halfway up the sides of the one that you're baking the item in, like you do a cheesecake.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that, but I mean, it was fantastic. Like the top of it didn't even get that like thicker, almost, when you bake something. Even cheesecake, like the top of it it's a different color.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like goldish, brownish.
Exactly, right? Because it's been exposed to the heat. Her flan didn't do that. It was crazy. I don't remember her name. She's an older lady. It was fantastic. I think I asked for flan every day when we were there at luncheons. Anyway, Ecuador. That was a very interesting. So my friend Barry Furiseth, who owns Blue Fresh Fish Marketplace up in Bentonville, Arkansas. He's been on the show a couple times. He's a seafood expert, and we had a business together where we imported seafood products from. We imported seafood from South America, and then we either sold them in as wholesale or we sold them as value added. And by value added, we would take size 16, 20 shrimp, okay, which is a commodity. That's 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. We would then buy them deshelled. Then we would butterfly them open flat, and then. The gentleman that owned the shrimp farms there had arboreal rice, risotto rice, and they didn't know what to do with it. They had, I don't know, 200 or 300 acres of risotto, like arboreal rice farms. They're like, there's just not a big enough demand here. I mean, we're in Guayaquil, the biggest city in Ecuador, but there's just not that much. So we did a couple of things. We breaded the shrimp. I found a way to take the arboreal rice. I would put it in a commercial blender and grind it so it was like a fine powder, almost like flour, like a coarse, like flour, like masa, like masa,
the dough.
Well, but more like harina de
arroz.
Harina. I mean de maíz.
Harina de maíz.
But so it's like corn flour, but the one that's kind of not chunky, but you know what I mean? It's a bigger grind.
Yeah, it's like a little more thicker.
It's not fine powder, right? But almost. It's kind of like, it had texture to it. And the thing about it, it's really high in starch. And so it's great for making a breading. And so we used it as a breading, and it was actually just that and seasoning. Salt, pepper, and other seasonings, some like fresh or dried, we freshed. What do we put in there? Parsley and garlic powder and onion powder, salt, pepper. I think we put in a touch of paprika just to give a little flavor to it. But anyway, we would bread these. So I basically made a very light tempura batter. We would dip it in that, bread them in the coating, and then when you fried it, it was super crispy, and you get larger pieces that didn't grind down all the way, and they kind of popped between your teeth, like you would expect it to be like raw rice, like raw, whole, hard grains of rice. It wasn't like that once you cooked it. It crunched between your teeth, but it was cool. So we found a really unique use for that product. And anyway, so we're in Guayaquil, and we flew up to I think Quito is one of the highest cities in the world. It's probably around 11,000 feet. It's pretty high up there. And Quito's, it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous city. They have, they eat a lot of guinea pig up there, actually. I never ate guinea pig. I think I've lied and said I did. I never ate guinea pig. I could have if I was hungry, but we didn't go to one of the restaurants. So we're in Quito, and we drive back down through the Amazon rainforest with my partner Barry's brother-in-law, Alfredo Meneses, and we just call him Alf. And Alf is this he's a guy that you want to say, oh my God, he's like cocky and he's arrogant. He's really not. He's the nicest guy in the world. You're just envious that you're not him. Super handsome, charming, but very successful. He had like an adventure experience company. They run the only hotel in the Galapagos Islands. And then he's been an adventure racer for like 6 countries in South America, like those long, 300-mile, what do you run? You know, mountain climb and run and bicycle and kayak and, you know, whitewater raft, whatever they had to do.
The whole outdoor experience.
And it was a big deal. The adventure races were a big deal like 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, so we're driving down through the rainforest. We're above the rainforest where we started. And I'm just remembering this because it was such a vivid experience. And the food that we had on the way was amazing. And one thing stuck out in my mind. But we're driving down from Quito, which is really high up there. And as we start getting lower and lower, the temperature starts to rise. And then eventually the air gets really thick. And you can actually smell the oxygen in the air because the rainforest has so many plants that it produces like 4 times the oxygen your body's used to getting. And it was unbelievable. It was invigorating. It was intoxicating. Anyway, so we drive down to this place on the Toachi River, and the next day we go whitewater rafting, where Barry proceeded to try to drown me because he was behind me. And as he fell out of the boat, the one thing they tell you to do is just fall out of the boat, find your bearings, and keep your feet out in front of you so you don't hit rocks or a rock wall or something. No, Barry grabs me and takes me over with him. So we finished. Exactly. We finished for the day, and Alfredo and his crew, they made us this wonderful grilled lunch. I don't remember everything that was served, but it was fantastic. And we spent about 2 hours on the shore there. Well, one of the things that we had was it's like a white mountain pineapple. It's a very small little pineapple, and they're kind of scarce. They're rare. They only grow in the mountain regions of Ecuador and some of the other countries along along the equator right there. It's got to be a certain temperature, certain altitude, and they don't export them. But it's the sweetest bite of fruit I've ever had. It was unbelievable. It was so.
What was the name of that fruit again?
It's a white mountain pineapple. I've never seen them before. I've never seen them again outside of Ecuador. I've looked all over. The variety of fruit they have. You know what tamarillo is? A tomate de obol?
Tomatillo?
No.
Wait, what?
Tamarillo.
Tamarillo. Or do you mean tamarindo?
No, not tamarindo. Tamarindo is, that's the bean. That looks like a mesquite bean, right? Yeah. But it has that sticky paste inside. Yeah. I know tamarindo. That's my favorite. Agua de tamarindo is my favorite. Right? My Spanish really sucks. Unless you're talking about food, I don't speak Spanish. I really don't. Right. I can say thank you, please. I'm very limited. I don't know how to conjugate verbs. I don't know how to say to and from.
This kind of got like the pineapple shape or something like that. Is that what you mean?
No. So that one is a pineapple. It's just a white mountain pineapple.
Okay.
That's just piña. But they have a special name. I think. Piña de montaña, I don't know, something
Piña
like
de
that.
montaña,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so mountain pineapple in English for you folks that don't speak any Española. So tomate de obol, it actually looks, how do you describe this?
Tomate de obol.
If you look up on your phone.
Tomate means tomato, but it's like, I guess it's going to be.
The shape is different, right? The shape is almost, it's like a football, but not so pointy on the ends. It's more rounded.
Okay.
And on one end, it has a longer stem. It has a stem, and then it's just on the bottom end. It almost comes to like a Roma tomato.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that, but not quite as pointy.
All right.
Okay. And they have 2 colors. There's a gold one or a yellow one, and then they have a red one. So we've changed the clock to over where I can actually see it without turning my head or having to look directly at the booth. But the thing is, I put so much crap in the way I couldn't see it. So Tomato de Obol, what they would do is in the morning, we were staying at this great hotel in Guayaquil, and it's called the Oro Verde Hotel, and it's been there a long time, but it pretty much the nicest hotel in town, and it was not expensive. It was like $60, $80 a night. So when we woke up in the morning, they would have all these juices. They would have watermelon juice. They would have, and these were all fresh. Pressed juices.
Aguas frescas. Something
oh
like that.
My God, it was so unbelievable. But yeah, so they would have the watermelon, they would have pineapple, guava, guanabana, right? They would have, they had so much stuff.
Cantaloupe, and then
yeah. So cantaloupe juice, that was one I'd never had. But I'd made watermelon. I call it watermelon water. It wasn't really juice, but oh my gosh! But the tamarillo is such a unique flavor. It's almost like you crossed a tomato and a cantaloupe melon.
Wow. So it's not a sweet
it wasn't as sweet, and it didn't have any acid like a tomato has.
Okay.
But then they would add just a touch of sugar to it. I mean, I drank like 5 glasses of that every morning. It was delicious. But I just remember that the driving down through. So we went whitewater rafting, and on the way back, we had to go back to Guayaquil. We only had 2 or 3 days with our friend Alfredo, and so I told this story with Barry on the air. I made him tell it. Actually, we stopped and we drive from the Toachi River. We come down out of the mountains, and we're going across these high plains. It's kind of the foothills of the mountains. And we come across and we're looking, you see all these wonderful plants like cocobola wood, the hardest wood in the world. They have, what are the macadamia nut farms? They have they all these palm farms where it's just just to harvest hearts of palm.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the mountain pineapples were just above that in altitude, right? So anyway, it's kind of like the Wild West out there. It's all these, I don't want to say migrant farm workers, but they're farm workers that are ranchers, ranch hands that just do that so they can earn enough money to go into town,
yeah,
and blow it off, and like Yosemite Sam. Okay, so they go into town, and the closest city is Santo Domingo. Santo Domingo it's like the Wild West. So Alf drops us off. We're a block from the train station. He's like, just be careful getting to the train station. Stay at the train station. Get on your bus. Just go home, because it was and we had like an 8-hour ride, I think, on the bus to get back to Guayaquil. And yeah, I go to the bathroom. Barry's on the phone with his wife. He's calling her in California, and they dropped a $5 bill on the ground, right? And they go, "Oh, senor, is yours? Is yours? Is yours?" And when he turned, he took one leg off of he took one step away from his suitcase, and then he ran off with his suitcase. Luckily, they didn't take mine, but they got his passport and all his cash.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I'm in the bathroom, and I hear somebody go, Patrick, stop! And I'm like, what's going on? I'm thinking somebody's killing him, right? They cutting his heart out or something. I don't know. They're going to serve it as anticuchos, So, anticuchos, you know what that is?
No.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. That's one of my all-time favorite dishes from Peru. So anyway, long story short, there's no way to catch them. They'd obviously been running that scam for a while. They heard us speaking English, and they took advantage of us, or Barry, I should say. But it was a great adventure. The amazing food, the freshness, and the newness of things there.
I'm surprised that you managed to eat all this food. You didn't happen to get sick from eating like all these types of variety of food? Because some people travel to another country, they eat like the local food in there.
It usually has to do with the water and the bacteria. So because they wash vegetables in the same water you're going to drink. So that's why they always say drink bottled water.
But there's actually some fruits that like some people don't have the tolerance to eat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
like rambutan.
Oh yeah.
Like it look like grapes, but they have like a peel that has like a little hairs around it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I get to eat like 20 of those and nothing will happen to me. But like, I think my brother can eat like one and then he start getting sick.
Do you know gooseberries? The gooseberries look like a tomatillo, but they're small. They make they're orange ones and yellow ones. I'll bring some in. Okay. Hey, real quick. So anticuchos. Anticuchos is it's a traditional Peruvian dish. Typically, you can use any meat, but typically it's actually beef heart. And they take beef heart and they make skewers of it, or they cook it in a variety of ways. But this is the way that I learned. You make a skewer of the beef heart, and then there's 2 different sauces. One is made with ají panca, ají chili.
Ají.
It's a fairly spicy chili. It's somewhere between habanero and jalapeno.
Yeah.
Right. It's more like a serrano chili, spicy wise. But what they do is they dry it out. There's a red one and a yellow one, and the red one they dry it out, and then they make a paste from it. It's ají panca, and it comes. Perudo is the best company to buy this from. You can actually, if you have a Fiesta, Fiesta grocery stores. Do you have those here? They usually have those. They have the red one and the yellow one. So you make a sauce from the red one. It doesn't have any spice to it, just a touch. It's like a rich roasted mole in a jar without no cacao, there's none of that stuff in there. It's so just amazingly flavorful. So you take that with really good dry whole leaf Mexican oregano, garlic, a ton of garlic, red wine vinegar, maybe some. We used grapeseed oil instead of olive oil because grapeseed oil doesn't congeal in the refrigerator, so it doesn't turn solid. Anyway, so salt, pepper, and there's one ingredient I'm missing on that. But so you have this rich roasted, a ton of cumin, a ton of comino. I mean, like 3 times the amount of any other ingredient. But that's really the flavor you get is the cumin, the red wine vinegar, the garlic, a lot of garlic. One of my favorite flavors. So then you dip the skewers as you're grilling them. You know, you do a couple of bastings, and actually, you used to dip the whole thing right in the container of sauce and just put it right back on the grill. And then there's a finishing sauce, and that's kind of the same ingredients. It's got a little bit of the red wine vinegar. It's got the yellow ají chili, which is spicier, a lot spicier. And so the ají amarillo, the paste, and that's got grapeseed oil and a couple of other ingredients, but there's no herbs in it, right? There's no
dry leaves.
Yeah, oregano. There's nothing like that in there, right? It's a really clean looking finishing sauce, but you take that rich roasted flavored red sauce and with the garlic and a little bit of vinegar in there, and then you grill that up, and it makes this char on there. It's like this charred sauce. And then you finish it with that spicy yellow sauce. It has just a touch of tang from the red wine vinegar, a little bit of grapeseed oil in there. It's unbelievable. Now, beef heart is a little strong for most people, but you can actually take the same sauce. You can make skewers of any beef, salmon, chicken, shrimp. It works the same. I used to do lamb chops and just grill the whole lamb chop, single cut lamb chops. Unbelievable. I'm glad that grill works. We made steaks today. It's time to make some anticuchos. All right, hey, it's time to find out what are we drinking Friday, because Cheryl Heisler is going to be on the phone in about 2 minutes. So stay tuned. Come on. Don't be a loser. Be my friend. Stay. Listen to Stay, sit, stay. All right. We'll talk to you in a minute.
We bring people.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's work. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
We're back. It's Friday afternoon, folks. It's time to grab yourself a cocktail, pop a top, crack the, pop a cork, pop a top. What else do you say? What do you do with it? If it's a screw top bottle, you don't crack the cork on that or pop the cork. You don't pop the top. I guess you just open the bottle and drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time for a cocktail, folks. Take off work early, go home, enjoy some Spoony Radio, and have something to drink. And if you don't drink, well, have a bowl of popcorn and a soda. How's that? All right. We have a caller on the line. I believe this is Miss Cheryl. Cheryl, are you there?
Hey, Chef Patrick.
How are you,
Happy
Cheryl?
Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
I'm
Woohoo!
well.
I know it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's a good time for Friday. It came around just at the right moment.
I know. It's like every week it knows when to come around.
It's great. It's a great day. Friday's a great day.
So have you seen the meme that they I've seen it come around a couple times, but a dear friend of mine posted the other day. It's like Monday is officially on Sunday. They post Monday has officially been canceled. Go back to bed. Oh, it's I don't know how long it's been since I had a real 3-day weekend, but I'm hoping we get one soon. So.
Isn't there some kind of a national holiday coming up? Or we need one. March needs something to get us through. It's a long month.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Something's got to be coming up. Easter's coming up, right?
Yeah, but I think we got to wait till April for that one.
Well, it's already March. That's not too far.
Come up with a brand new March day. Well, it's St. Patrick's Day. That's what we'll have to talk about next week.
Yeah, I try not to do St. Patty's Day anymore. You're Irish, you're Patrick, drink. I'm like, I'm 51 years old. I do not suffer hangovers well. I don't. I'm not going to lie. They suck. They're like the worst thing ever. Now, when I was a kid in college, wasn't a problem.
They weren't so great then either. I just think we didn't know better. We got a little smarter, thank goodness.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I just drank a bunch of water. I got up and I had another beer and went and played volleyball and sweated it off. I can't do that. I cannot fight through the headache. And that's the worst part about it for me. It's just the nausea and headache. And so you will rarely see me drink enough to get a hangover. And I mean rarely, once every several years. I just can't do it.
I have a very dear friend who's a lightweight, and she was telling the story that she was out with some couples, and she had 2.5 glasses of wine. Okay, that was her limit. And she said the next day she just felt awful, and she's talking to her daughter. She said, I got a headache. My mouth feels like cotton. I can't move. And her daughter started laughing. She said, Mom, you're hungover. She didn't even recognize the symptoms.
That's funny. That's funny. So that's okay. I've drank literally not quite half a beer, and I just dripped down my chef coat. So I'm gonna have a coffee ale stain on my chef coat till I wash it. So it's all good.
Oh,
it is what it is.
Well, you have to come up with some really good story about what you were making with coffee and ale and why it was there. Because obviously it happened in the throes of making some fabulous meal.
Unfortunately, I just admitted to the general public at large on air that I am a clumsy drinker. As a matter of fact, I frequently spill my not my cocktail typically, but I spill my coffee. I rarely spill a cocktail. I rarely spill beer. Chefs are notorious, right, for going home after a long day. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they go home after a long day at work. Like you get home Sunday night after like a 40-hour weekend, and you sit down, you turn on the TV, but you turn the volume off, and then you grab a beer, and you sit on the couch and you take one sip, and then you hold it like on top of your knee or something, and you fall asleep. And you could wake up 6 hours later, crumpled over, but the beer is safe every time. Every time.
That's a professional. Then you know you're really good at what you're doing.
My son was little. Last story for today. I'm lying, but last story for right now. I used to fall asleep. My son was not quite walking yet, and we had a glider rocker, and I would. He would go to bed late because I got home from the restaurant late, so I'd rock him to sleep, and he would fall asleep, but then I would fall asleep in the rocking chair as well. And so, but I would never. Didn't matter if I leaned over head first with my forehead on the ottoman. He was safe in my arms.
Never dropped the baby.
Never dropped the baby. Never threw him out with the bathwater either. Thank goodness.
If you can balance a beer, chances are pretty good a baby is stable, but I feel better knowing it.
You don't know how many times I've woken up and it's after I wake up, I'm like, what am I holding? And then you drop it after you wake up. I'm like, really? Really? You held it for 4 hours on the couch while you fell asleep, but you couldn't hold it long enough to take, another drink out of it? Anyway.
That reminds me of a story. Do you remember the ad campaign? Oh, it's got to be 20, maybe longer ago, for Chivas Regal. And there's that famous blue bag, that royal blue velvet bag, and you see the bottle slipping out of the bag, and it's just about to crash, or it's crashing. And the tagline, all they needed was, "Ever see a grown man cry?"
I remember it. Oh my gosh!
Great campaign.
Do you remember all those interesting alcohol commercials from the 70s?
Give me some specific references.
Billy D. Williams sitting on a stool in the middle of an empty room, reminiscent of Yul Brynner in the commercial that never got filmed about him dying of smoking. But he's sitting there. I can't remember what he says, but it's whatever it was. It was like Schlitz malt liquor was basically, or maybe it was Colt 44, Colt 45. I mean, I don't remember what it was.
Sounds like a Colt. Yeah.
Colt 45 maybe, but
that's vaguely familiar.
Cold Duck. You remember Cold Duck? The champagne of beers.
I remember a Little Blue Nun.
Oh, Blue Nun wine. Yeah, that's actually from Germany. That's still around. Yeah, that's from the Rhineland.
I remember. This must have been the 70s too. The box wines and what was that funny?
They're coming back. The box wines.
Not Martini and Rossi. They are, but there was another.
Martini,
like young people.
You remember Martini and Rossi on the rocks? Say yeah. Who the hell drank Martini and Rossi on the rocks? Seriously.
I don't know.
Did you ever drink vermouth on the rocks?
Oof. Oh, Bartles and James. That's the one I'm thinking of. The two old guys.
Oh my God, they were hilarious in the 80s. Yes.
That's okay.
And what's funny is they were not the founders.
We're going back here, Patrick.
They were just the actors. Remember Zima?
Zima? I don't.
Zima was like a white. It was like a clear beer, but it wasn't beer. I don't know what it was. It was like a beer substitute. It was a weird thing. I remember in a bar one time, and someone asked for a wine spritzer, white wine, a little soda. And
sure.
They gave him a Zima with grenadine, and I was like, that was the nastiest tasting thing. You have to look it up. I don't even remember what was in Zima. I don't even know if Zima knew it was in Zima. And I think they're trying to make a comeback.
Zima. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just banged my earphones into the microphone, but I don't have any Zima. It's Zima, Zima, and I heard a rumor they were going to try to make a comeback. I'm glad they haven't yet, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's on the shelf. Oh my God, there it is. Zima Clear Malt is a clear, lightly carbonated alcoholic beverage made and distributed by the Coors Brewing Company. Introduced in 1993, it was marketed as an alternative to beer, an example of what is now often referred to as a cooler. But it didn't taste like a cooler. That's the thing. But Bartles and James was a cooler, right?
Right, that's correct.
The Bacardi coolers, those are coolers. This was not a cooler. It was all right, I'm going to stop. I'm sorry, Zima. I hope you make a comeback. God bless you.
You're not volunteering to taste it before next week for us, are you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll taste it if they pay me. They want to be a sponsor? I'll drink all the Zima you want me to. Hey, Zima, you want to come back? We're about to explode right here. This is Chef Patrick Mosher. Come on. This is Food Biz Pro on Spoony Radio. Send me a little love. Well, I'll give the love back. You'll make twice your money back, I guarantee you. Nah,
okay.
I don't know if I can drink.
I'll pass that message along if I meet them. But you know what? You're giving me great ideas. We need to do a retro week.
Absolutely.
We need to do like Harvey Wallbangers and. Okay,
yeah,
I'm putting it down under my list of fun old time.
Now,
stuff.
if Doc were here, if Doc were here, he'd be ringing the bell, of course.
Okay.
Well, anything that had it was like a double entendre or innuendo, sexual innuendo. His listeners were trained to tell, like he was supposed to ring the bell, right? Because he always did it, and then when he didn't, they're like, "Hey, you're bell deficient. Ring the bell. You're not ringing the bell. You rang it for this, but not for that. That's not right." And so. They told me one of his listeners said I should have an egg timer in here as the bell, and I was like, "That's actually pretty smart."
That works.
Mm-hmm. But then I got a mess. I got to like turn it and turn it back. I think I might be too lazy for that. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see if anybody can find like a cool retro egg timer, that'd be cool. Oh, and can I tell you what? You've seen the studio. I mean, you've seen the Facebook Live videos, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
So Ron said, you know how cool it would be? He said this, I think, to Brad when they first started building this. When they put the pony wall up here next to the table, that's gonna it'll hide the demo table, the new demo table. It's gonna go in here to be a little taller. He said, remember those old wall-mounted jukeboxes that they had with like 50 songs?
Of course.
And you flip through the pages, you found the one, you pushed. Oh, that was the coolest thing ever when I was a kid. But wouldn't that look cool? And if we could get it to work,
perfect.
Well,
perfect.
Yeah, I could make it work. I could just rename the songs like A4, A1, CB2, and use like an iPod or something like that. But that would be really cool. I love those things. Those were the coolest thing. And there was no music in it. It actually fed to another machine, which, a jukebox in the back. But I don't know how many songs could those jukeboxes have been able to play, because you had typically 20 to 30 of those. The exterior booths typically had those.
Yep. And I just remember as a kid, there were page after page after page. It seemed like the list went on forever.
It did, actually. Now you think about it, it really did. It was like, I was thinking it was just a few, but now it's like, no. By the time I got through the list of songs, our meal was done. It was time to go. I never got to play any music. I'm a slow reader.
And there was always a way that you'd play a certain song, and my parents used to do this, keep playing a certain song that we liked just to keep us quiet. Because if the food wasn't there and you got a bunch of kids, they're ready to riot.
I love it.
Or let the kid pick the song. That's always a big one.
Now we just hand them the iPad.
I think retro got so cool. Yeah, well, it's not quite the same. But,
it is not.
But retro, let's do a retro day. We'll have retro music and retro drinks.
I like it. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about last week before we get into what are we drinking on Friday? What are we drinking on Friday? Is the Keurig cocktail machine, the cocktail brewer that you.
I'm not. I should start off by saying I've never tasted a automated beverage like that. Like a cocktail. I've drank the Keurig coffee, and honestly, it's kind of weak. I like a good strong cup of coffee. I'm not a big fan. So when I saw that they're coming out with cocktails and it's missing the human element, I'm not happy about it. What do you think?
No, I'm not. I mean, have
you ever tried them?
I have not. I saw it come out right about Christmas time, just before Christmas. I think the average cost of the pods is $3. But I'm curious as to, is the alcohol in it, and they're just brewing it? Are they just the concoction comes out by rehydrating with water? Is it just a condensed version of the cocktails themselves? But if so, how are they condensing the alcohol? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question. And if you're paying $3 a pod just for the mixer, it's not a very good deal. So
no, exactly. And
if I like the concept, I'd look into it more. But I don't even like the concept. Part of the fun for me, I guess I'm a bit of a purist, is taking the ingredients, just like when you cook, right? The difference between buying a cake at this grocery store and making a cake yourself. You see the ingredients, you touch it, you feel the textures,
Absolutely.
You tweak the colors if you want to, or the flavors. As soon as it comes out of a mass assembly line kind of process, for me, it loses something. Now, I'm not saying everybody has time to go bake a cake every day sometimes, but if you want something quick, then you open up a bottle of wine. I don't see when I would use this. I guess that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess a lot more people drink at home now. The Gen Z, they don't like to go out and spend, and Gen Y as well. They'd rather drink at home and drink what they want for less money than go out and spend it in a bar, because they can hang out with their friends or, do whatever else they want to do from an experiential standpoint, and not just sit around in a bar and chat, which, that was a lot of my social life when I was growing up. So, and when I was old enough to sit in a bar, that is.
Of course.
Yeah. As far as anyone
I knew
knows.
that's what you.
As far as anyone knows. So for those of you who don't know,
that's your story and you're sticking to it.
I'm not even going to touch it anymore. I'm just going to leave it out there, and you can take my explanation or not. But so Cheryl, you live in Chicago, and so if you're a first-time listener or you don't know who Cheryl is, or you're just walking in on the show now, Cheryl Heisler is a mixologist, a chemist of the. Oh, how do you turn imbibe into a noun? You can't, can you?
An imbibester? I don't know.
No, I was going to say
but I like the chemist part.
You're an alchemist of the cocktail world. You really are.
You know why that's special to me? I got to tell you, my dad was a pharmacist.
Really?
And he also loved to mix drinks. And I wonder now if the two are somehow connected on the same, DNA gene link, because he'd be very proud that we're talking cocktails now, and we're using the term chemist, and I take that as quite a compliment.
No, well, thank you. You're very welcome. So, so back in that day, they had a lot of compounding pharmacies where they actually blended the everything in ratios and proportion, and they're coming back a little bit in states that allow. But so for those of you who don't know, she is the alchemist of cool, the mixer of cocktails extraordinaire, and her company is mixed metapours. That's metaphors, but not take the H out, add an O-U-R-S, metapours, and she will custom make cocktails for just about any need that you have, whether it's your friend, your spouse, your mother, your dad, they're celebrating an anniversary, or they have a birthday, or you're just hosting a party and you want a special cocktail to go with your menu. Cheryl is the one to call. That's mixedmetapours.com. If you go to the site, you can find her information there. But you can just go to the Spoony Radio page on Facebook. You can it's not on Spoony.com, but we'll get it up there. I'm sorry, that was my fail. And just follow the link. You'll find her there. Really cool stuff. You take the classics and make them cool again. You take the cool now, the hip stuff now, and make it classic again. And then you just make stuff up that's... You do. Look, there's been a wide variety in the short...
Thank you.
Well, think about it. We've been talking on the air since what? October, maybe? November?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Wow.
Well, think about the range of cocktails you've come up with, especially the one that I think we're going to talk about, because everyone needs to know right now, what are we drinking on Friday?
What do we drink? Well, especially if you're in my part of the world now. Today is nice. It's 30 degrees and the sun is peeking through. It's going to hit rock bottom again on Monday. They're predicting more of the polar vortex kind of thing with the deeply below zero wind chills. So our drink for Friday, in anticipation of another lovely, awful week, is called 43 Below. Hopefully it's not going to get that cold.
Oh.
But if you want to join me, we're going to get a bottle of it's called Cuarenta y Tres, or you might know it as 43.
Yeah.
It's a Spanish liquor. I got introduced to this, I don't even want to tell you how long ago. I was on a trip to Spain during high school. And, of course, the drinking age was different there, and that's what a lot of our Spanish amigos were drinking. So you start with an ounce of 43. You're going to add that to a glass where you've crushed or muddled some large blackberries, really the big juicy ones.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put in, you can use regular ice cubes, but if you really want to make it fun, get yourself a mold where you can make the oversized ice cubes and put a couple of fresh raspberries inside before you freeze the cube.
Yeah.
So you've got like a pop of red jumping out of the cube. You've got the muddled blackberries, the cube with the frozen raspberry. You've got the 43 liqueur, and then you fill it up with lemon LaCroix.
Ooh.
And what you have is a refreshing but warming reminder that you'd rather stay in and drink on a night like Monday night than go out because it's too cold. Having given you the recipe for this product, do you ever drink it? Are you familiar with it?
For the what?
43?
Oh yeah,
43, yeah.
Yes, I have.
Not a lot of people seem to know about it. I don't know if it's better known in Europe, but it's got a great profile. Looking for just the right addition to a cocktail, and you don't want something overpowering. In the way that you can sometimes use elderflower liqueur to enhance a drink or to change it up a little bit, I just pull out the Cuarenta y Tres, and it changes things up. So it's a really fun bottle to have in my bar, partly because it's new to people and partly because it works. A copy of the Aviary cocktail book from the Chicago bar.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful, the pictures, but the descriptions. Every drink is 8,000 steps. It makes me realize that there's something to be said for being able to make a drink and enjoy it in the same 20-minute period. I think you're going to have hours and hours of beginning and thinking through and preparation, which is why they can charge $25 a cocktail. But complexity can come in different forms, is I guess what I'm saying. So this is a complex drink that you can make at home and enjoy.
That's awesome. I mean, and it sounds delicious. I'm going to have to try this one. I cannot wait. So Trey Chapman was in here a little while ago, and he was doing his show this morning at 10. And I was saying, you know, I need to get this bar in here. I just don't know where to put it. But I want to have the bottles visible. So
right.
I don't know. Got to figure that one out.
And how big a space do you have? I mean, are you going to have one of everything there, or you're going to have to limit?
Oh, man, you're going to have one of everything. What do you... Shh. Don't tell them I'm going to spend the money on that. Shh. You don't ask those questions.
You can build it slowly.
No, yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll buy what we need for the cocktails.
Or get minis.
Well, we have a lot of whiskey. I can tell you we got a lot of whiskey that came in from several listeners and one listener in particular. I don't think we'll need to buy any scotch or bourbon for a while. But, I mean, we even had I think he even brought the Basil Hayden Dark Rye. Which I had not had yet. Yeah, it's very neat. Anyway,
you've got to pace yourself.
Yeah, I am. So I haven't even drank half this beer. I'm like, it's beer. I know it's beer for Breakfast Friday, which fortunately we did not have that segment today with Matt Locke. We do that, right? We do beer for breakfast every Friday. It used to be for breakfast. Now it's 11:30, so it's more for brunch. But I
just remember some days by the time you get to our segment,
I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Can I be done now?
I mean, always the professional. I never hear it in your voice, but I know from what you tell me how the day started out that you might have been tippling a little bit before the show.
Yeah, I mean,
during the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do it during. I'll drink during Matt's show, and to be honest with you, I don't ever like to. Again, it's not just the hangover factor. I don't like to feel like I'm not in control, so I don't like to drink past the point that I don't feel like I'm completely in control of my actions. And my thoughts, right? Because I've heard some pretty mean things come out of some people, the sweetest people's mouths when they've been drinking, and it's just something I'm very aware of. I don't ever want to make that impression on people. So I'm not saying it always works.
The fun of for me as a grown up, right? The fun of cocktails and playing around is that you can come up with a wonderful, delicious, flavorful sipper. It's not how fast can you pour something back. And I hope that anybody listening to the show and listening to us talk about it knows we're having fun with it. But none of it is about, how quickly can I become so out of it that I don't know what's going on. It's just like, again, with cooking. You don't, you eat to live, not live to eat. But if you enjoy the making and the producing and the preparing, you take time, and it's fun to taste and enjoy. That's how we're looking at alcohol.
Absolutely.
Too. How do we do something really nice with it?
So I saw. Here's one thing I hate about Facebook. You start the post. I got What Are We Drinking Friday, Mixed Metaphors, Spoony Radio, and I'm putting this new one. I'm gonna Mixology is science. That's our new hashtag. I like it. Is and each word capitalized. Mixology. No, is has to be small. It doesn't look like is. SCIEN.
Mixology is science. Okay, I'll add that
Mixology
to
science.
I'm on Instagram too. If anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, go to Mixed Metaphors.
I'm so terrible about that.
You'll see all this. That's okay. There's more good stuff even beyond. But the Spoony stuff gets put up there too. But sometimes I even drink not on Friday or Saturday. Truth be told.
Yeah, so do I. I'll admit it. But what happens is I'll start a post, right? And then I'll have to go away from that for a second, like I get a notification. And I always look at those in case it's somebody requesting information. And the post you're creating just disappears off the page. I'm like, it's that difficult to leave that little freaking window open or save it as a draft? Come on, this is the most powerful, literally. This company disseminates more information than any other platform in the world on a daily basis, hands down. Probably double, other than Google. And Google doesn't disseminate it, it directs you to it. And in some ways, it directs you the way it wants you to go, because that's just the way the algorithm works. But you're telling me that they can't figure out how to not delete your draft off the... I'm sorry, it pisses me off. I'm not gonna.
The other problem that I have is I'll get started on, say, an Instagram post, and then I'll get distracted. Forget about that. You've got a legitimate reason.
Well, no,
like, look a chicken, and then
I just get distracted. I mean, that's the thing. But the thing is, we live in an ADD society, so help a man out. Really, how hard is this? Right. I'm just joking.
That's like on the computer, that little arrow, the circular arrow that you can undo what you did.
I know. Thank goodness.
My favorite.
It doesn't work on Facebook.
Part of the computer.
Doesn't work on Facebook. All right, so hey, we have time, and you're on the air. I'll post this tomorrow. But what are we drinking Saturday?
Okay, so, I'd like to say that, drinking is separate and apart from everything else, but this week got me down a little bit with all the problems in the world. And not that a cocktail can solve all world problems, but I thought if we could come together as citizens of the world, maybe by mixing alcohols from different places, we could do better. So the idea of my Saturday drink is called Coupe d'Etat. And instead of starting wars, we're going to start an international conversation with booze. So if you have a beautiful clear coupe glass and you want to mix about 3 parts of ginseng iced tea, so get a little of the Asian ginseng influence.
Very good.
Add a half an ounce of Calvados, which is a French apple brandy.
I love
And another half ounce of good old Wild Turkey American honey whiskey. That's all you need. A gentle stir in a mixing cup over some ice. Strain it into your chilled coupe glass. It's beautiful and it's harmonious. I would love to see the world in a slightly better place, and this is my small contribution to that.
Hey,
a coupe d'etat.
They don't call it social lubrication for nothing. I'm sorry.
They say in the hiring world, right at the end of the day, they go, I hire this guy because I want to go out and have a beer with him, or I want to go have a glass of wine with her. Maybe that's true on the international stage. Maybe if our world leaders could say, I want to have a cocktail with him or her.
I would have loved to have.
We would all be in a better place.
Jimmy Carter was not an impressive president. He was a little, I mean, not Jimmy Carter. I mean, Gerald Ford. But I mean, he was like, he won the Heisman Trophy or something like that. That's a guy you want to sit down and have a beer with.
He was a ball player. I know that.
Yeah. I don't know if he won the Heisman Trophy, but he's a good running back. But that's a guy you want to have a beer with that guy. Now I'm trying to do a post and it won't let me post the damn pictures. I'm going to get this up here in a few minutes. I'll post this. The 43 below. I gotta get those ingredients. That looks really cool. Plus, the raspberry frozen in the ice cube is class act. Thank you.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
We got a few seconds left, Cheryl. You have a great weekend. Thanks again for all your hard work. And, man, we're going places. This is going to be a fun ride. Thank you.
Great to talk to you, Patrick. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Thank you. All right,
bye-bye.
Well, another week is concluded here on Spoony Radio. I have not yet drowned myself in a bottle of vodka, which is a good thing, because a lot of times there is no plan B. And right now we have no plan B. The only plan B I have is a bottle or change careers. So love us, listen to us, go to Spoony.com, order some of the Spoony logoed wear. I don't know. What do you call that? Aprons, hats, shirts, shorts, underwear? Not really. But look on there and see what they have. Baby bibs. I'm sure we can get those. Have a great weekend. Chef Patrick Mosher signing off. The Food Biz Pro. Ciao for now. Have a good day.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.